Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by Because Bitcoin. Why are you guys always late? Well, that's a good question. I think we just enjoy talking to each other before we go live, and it ends up just delaying when we get started. But yeah, no, guys, we are glad that you tuned in. We appreciate y'all for being here early on your Wednesday mornings. It's a big week. We have everything that's going on with Binance, rumor, true, unsubstantiated, who knows, as well as Jackson Hole later in the week should make for quite a bit of potential volatility within, all markets. So, what more can you love as a trader? The title of today's episode is Binance going down and what this means for crypto. And, I do kind of want to talk about that for just a second because, it's no secret that the Binance overhang is, really the biggest, I would say, bearish catalyst that the space has remaining at this point. You can talk about GOX, you can talk about the government selling Bitcoin. I don't think either of those things are quite as immediate as the Binance situation seems to be. Now, what does that even mean, right? Well, I was looking through the list of some of the things that Binance and CZ and even, I think Justin's son as well are being accused of or are being investigated for, right? They haven't been charged yet. And it's pretty extreme. It's not anything to scoff at. And initially, I'll be honest, I was scoffing at it because, I thought a lot of it was, American enforcement agency doesn't like that a crypto exchange does business in Russia. Like, I'm sure they'll try to bend this and maneuver it, and yada, yada, yada. But the deeper you look, and Binance is not quite so innocent themselves. I obviously don't know the exact actions that they took, but, it does seem as though, based on the way that things have kind of been outlined, that Binance, made multiple deliberate attempts to even set up like fake bank accounts or not fake bank accounts, but like pseudo bank accounts for people in essentially sanctioned countries, that they allowed and basically oversaw, laundered money out of sanctioned countries. It's just a bunch of stuff that's not good at the end of the day. And, I think from a headline standpoint, it's going to be even worse, whether they try to fight it or not. And there's no doubt in my mind that if they do hit CZ with a fine, it's probably going to be a fairly steep one. What does that look like for the market if that happens? I think that's the most important part. And, we just have seen this continued just heaviness on Bitcoin's price for, really since like March of this year, right? And what is the reason for that? Is it because CZ is selling Bitcoin to prop up BNB? Is it just because of a lack of demand? Who knows? But right now there is certainly a lot of uncertainty around, Binance and especially how it's affecting the crypto market. So I do want to say, on a higher time frame, getting this out of the way is going to be the most bullish catalyst for the space. As I do believe, it's the biggest step that you can take towards cleaning it up for potential institutional involvement. What the space is starving for is more liquidity at the end of the day, point blank, period. But yeah, no. So we have that going on with crypto. I definitely want to talk about that. Obviously, we can look at BNB, we can look at Bitcoin, everything in between, that could potentially see turbulence later this week if things do maybe get a little bit more hectic from a lunar standpoint. Sorry, guys, this is my my once a week or once every 2 weeks lunar shout out. We are entering a period of Virgo, which is CZ's astrological sign. So if they were going to hand out a charge, it would make sense to be in this window if you believe in that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to talk about that, guys, as well as Jackson Hole as well on that show, because we really haven't talked too much about equities. And I think the bounce was a little bit uninspiring to me as I was viewing it this morning on the ES. But, I see that we are rising a little bit higher here to start the show. So might be putting a little bit of a squeeze on into Jackson Hole, potentially out of it. I mean, how are you guys looking to trade that event? Or we can just talk about Binance. Let's start with one thing. We can compartmentalize the show. We can start with the DOJ, with Binance with CZ. I would love to get y'all's thoughts. And I didn't really address, what this means for crypto. So Max Tucker, Will, what do you guys think if Binance does get hit with something like this, and it is, substantial? What does that mean for crypto?
Yeah. Well, it's not good. We'll jump to the end where it's not good. But the question is, do any of these rumors or speculations, do they end up materializing? There's a big difference between people kind of just talking trash online about it, something that maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. It's not for any of us individuals to say, right? There's regulatory bodies and agencies that I'm sure have been working on this, if it's real, for months, and it's not for any of us to say whether he's guilty or not. But again, it's one of those situations where once the rumor is out there, it might as well be true. It's like somebody says something about you and maybe it's only half true. Well, people kind of end up running with the whole story. People like to kind of like gossip and spread, and things usually turn into a big, kind of a big game of telephone. A big word. That's a huge Shrek behind me.
That's a big Shrek.
Why did it just get so big? Oh, there he is. Yeah, because Will dropped out for a minute.
Maybe Will to bring down.
He's like, I could see the freckles.
Yeah, it just got so big. I might try to find one of like Fiona rather than Shrek. It's a little bit more of a softer ogre. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, I mean, look, I'm not going to base my trade theses around Binance going insolvent, okay, or CZ getting put in handcuffs. I'm going to continue to trade the chart. And if my shorts end up printing harder because there's some catalysts that arise or some of these rumors are substantiated and Binance does end up, I don't know, an event happens around Binance, then it would work as a tailwind for my shorts. But I'm not going to short because I think that Binance is going under. I'm shorting because I'm seeing risk off signals, and I have been since 30K, which is why I've been shorting since 30K and why I'm still holding and I haven't taken any profit yet. So what would this mean for crypto? Well, for one, if Binance goes down, I mean, it's the largest exchange in the world, and it's not the largest exchange in the world by a small amount. It's the largest exchange in the world by multiples over the nearest competitor. I mean, I think they do like 5 to 10 times as much volume as the next biggest one. I don't know the exact figure, but it's a lot. So a majority of the open interest comes from Binance. I think what you'd probably see is one, a capitulation comparable to FTX. It would probably take us back to the FTX low, if not below. And then second, you'd probably see a range form like the FTX range, but it would last for like 5 to 10 times as long until the industry could be rebuilt and somebody takes and absorbs that market share from Binance, which again will take time because there's going to be a lack of appetite from market participants after an event like this. Plus, you need to build out the infrastructure, and you can't onboard all of that volume at once because you simply couldn't handle it if you're a different exchange. So, yeah, I mean, truthfully, like if Binance went under, I mean, it would literally be like we'd go to 13 or 14K, and we would just range and remain extremely distressed in prices for, I mean, probably like 9 months at least. Probably like through the halving, and then I think we'd recover nicely. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Like I'm down for a little bit of like fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But when you talk about somebody like Binance going down, it could arguably be the end of perps trading for like the foreseeable future, or at least as we know it. And it also, I imagine, it's a can of worms, or it's a bit of an onion in the sense that it would start with Binance, and then it would, they've got their tentacles on so many different organizations and projects, and how many tokens are they holding of like projects that are promising? I mean, it's going to be like, you don't want that to happen. Like if they get restructured, I don't care, whatever, fine. Probably for the best, honestly, anyways. But I just don't want to deal with systemic risk. Like I don't want any stable coin FUD. I don't want any like like major FUD, which would be crippling for the industry. I don't mind if prices go down because there were some bad actors involved or, some reckless business practices, but I just don't want to deal with like, where do I put my money because, something with USDT, or like, can I even cover my shorts because they're denominated in Tether and they get paid out in Tether? Like what happens here? I don't want to deal with anything like that. So anyways, I mean, Tommy, you're kind of our in-house Marin, however you say her name. So I want to ask you this though, quick, Tommy, then we'll just have a discussion and get into the charts a bit. But tomorrow, I think, is the day where it looks like Mercury's in retrograde. If I read the post earlier correctly,
yeah.
What does that mean exactly? What would that imply from CZ?
I don't know what it means, to be honest, but I just know that it does involve CZ's astrological symbol, man.
Isn't it the opposite of his or something like that?
That was you guys are gonna make me talk about things that I'm honestly kind of embarrassed I went as deep into the weeds as I did on this, but yeah, no, I guess Virgo is the exact opposite of Leo, which we got like a week ago. But I did want to pose one thing to you, Max, because I actually don't think that we would go all the way down to 14 or 15K if Binance went under. And I want to pose it from the perspective of what happened with FTX, right? Where they were selling all of their customer assets off until eventually they didn't have anything else left to sell. So the capitulation was just them getting liquidated, which they bought the crap out of the summer low in June of 2022. That wick was their liquidation. We barely went below it. I don't know, like, if CZ even has a liquidation or like where that would be. But for FTX, it was very clear, like where it was, in my opinion. But, in hindsight, when we look back on it, but if CZ is doing the same thing as FTX and they're selling customer assets to support BNB and Bitcoin maybe as well, then I don't know. I can't imagine it wouldn't kind of play out similarly, right? Where you have probably 2 or 3 days of super aggressive selling, but after that, the sell pressure is mostly already dissipated because they've been distributing it for, who knows how long. Maybe that's the real reason spot or CBD is down only on a higher time frame, is because these exchanges have been making fake Bitcoin and just selling them.
Or Binance is responsible for so much volume, and they've been swapping out of spot assets to support BNB this entire time.
Maybe. I don't know. It's fun to speculate. Also a little bit scary to speculate about. You hope Binance isn't in with with Tether or something like that, but who knows, man?
Oh, that would be worse, man. That would be much worse than Binance.
I think Tether's probably isolated. The biggest thing I'll say about Tether is that my cat wants to come inside, so I'm going to have to get up in just a second. But the biggest thing about Tether is they are located and they originate from Bitfinex. And Bitfinex has an insane amount of Bitcoin on their exchange. So, worst comes to worst, like that exchange is very solvent and there's a lot of backing for it.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got to hold the
point on any exchange on Bitfinex, which
we got to hold the conversation here, Tommy. All right, you're trying to tell me Bitfinex is the most liquid and Binance is illiquid?
No, I'm saying Bitfinex has the most, Bitcoin on its exchange other than Binance. They have more than Coinbase.
Okay, I can get on board with Coinbase, but
they're close to Binance too. They're like, I think they only have 100 or 200,000.
Binance is for sure the most liquid. 100%.
Well, I'm saying Binance is the most liquid trading exchange. I'm just saying who has the most Bitcoin reserves on their exchange.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, yeah. Binance is by far, I think, ahead of by a lot of different exchanges, and that brings me back to the conversation when people sit there and they discuss, oh, Binance is going to go under, yada yada, or he'll get charges, he's going to pay fines. Okay, what is that going to do? Is that going to drop the exchange? I don't think that that's the case in a lot of scenarios. This is why I have such a hard time coming to the consensus that something happening to CZ from a charge standpoint is going to do something to crypto. Right? I just have such a hard time putting two and two together with those, because like you can't collapse his empire. They've already discussed removing Binance US. It's already known. What are you going to do?
The good one, Max.
I saw Will cooking, man. I had to.
was
Hold up, let him cook.
I'm just saying, man. Like, look, if anybody can explain to me, if from a logical standpoint, not he just needs to go down, all right, which I hear a lot on crypto, not from our team, but just people on Twitter, right? Like this, he's a criminal. He has to be taken out. It's like, okay, what has he done? Well, okay, look, if it's a finable situation, then he'll get fined. He has the money.
I don't think it's a question of. It's not a question of what he's done. I think it's just a question of what they can prove. Obviously, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Will, hang on, Will. Oh, I need to say two things before we continue, because I like where this is going. I'm going to let you cook. All right. You see the cute little furry animals, man. We're going to let you cook. All right. First, we need to get these likes up on the video. We got 26 people watching. We got 13 likes. The goal every single time while we're live is 30 likes on the video, on the stream. If you guys are enjoying so far, please consider helping us out. Just take one quick moment, hit that thumbs up button for us. It does absolute wonders for the robot. The robot really likes us over at YouTube headquarters, but only because you guys like this video. So guys, please just take one moment. If you are enjoying the stream and the discussion, just smash that thumbs up. I want to get to 30 likes. We're approaching 20 already. Second, Will, this is for you, man. All right. I don't want you to end up being the guy that they meme, just like they meme all the guys that said deploying more so I can trade on FTX. No one wants.
That's not me.
Hang on, this is so dangerous. To defend an exchange is the most dangerous thing you can do, man.
No, I'm not
don't
here.
Even like, dude, exchanges, like let them just sort their thing out. Like, it's better to just like let the FUD play out than be like, oh, the FUD's not true, man. Like the people that have done that.
I'm not saying that. Look, I'm not
so
saying
rare that it ages well.
I'm not saying the FUD's not true. I'm not saying there's not inherent risk. What I'm saying is every time BTC goes down 1K, Binance is going to collapse. Everybody, Binance is going to. I've been hearing this for 2 years, man. Either it happens or it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter.
I will say, Will, that's the exact reason why we have been hearing this for 2 years. When those people come out of the woodwork to try to claim clout and be like, no. No. Time, you are wrong, way wrong on time. Therefore,
on time you're wrong, then you're wrong. Yeah, exactly. If you weren't right on time, you're wrong. That's just it. And I'll tell you this, I was right on the Luna collapse. I was right on time. And I can tell you not everybody was, right? But it's because everybody thinks they know, right? Everybody thinks they know. When the collapse happens, the chart will show up before any type of indictment will come out. 100%.
I would say the chart is showing it. Yeah.
I mean, if you pulled up a chart, you're at support. You are at support.
You could argue it's been broken.
Pull it up, bro.
Support was meant to be broken. Pull it up. Will,
I'm looking at it.
It is. I do agree with that. And you do have lower highs.
Support was meant to be broken. Who said that?
Support was meant to be broken. I mean, that's your support.
Steady Lad Boys number 4. Hey, pull that one up.
I mean, unless you think we're gonna do that.
No, like literally, Tucker, just zoom all the way out.
I know. Will.
Zoom all the way out.
You want to go on the monthly? I'm sure you want to go on the monthly.
Like, come on. Like, what? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Will, would you long that right there, man?
Hell no, I wouldn't long that. I'm not touching BNB. I'm not shorting it or longing it.
Okay.
I think there's potential to collapse. I think there's potential to hold.
Well, if I was willing to sell you some January 1st, 2024 calls playing the 350 strike on BNB, would you take it right now?
Nope.
Why not? I'm going to give you till the end of the year. and we won't even. How about the 325
Look,
strike?
I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of alpha, okay?
At support, you wouldn't take that option.
We're gonna talk about some alpha. All right.
Will.
Hold on. We're gonna talk about some alpha. So
hang on. I want to just say one more thing. Okay, one more thing. I said this to Tommy the other day. He was saying how negative funding was. Okay, and I said, well, would you long it here? And he said, hell no. So why are we even talking about the bullish case here at support when you won't touch it? No one will touch it. What's the bull case? Who cares if it's at support if no one will touch it?
I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that. So
there's
there's a difference between investors and then just the market maker and some investors, right? And arguably, I would say BNB is just the market maker and some investors. So BNB primarily is held by Binance. They had the majority, which whenever you have somebody who has a majority of anything, they can continue to market make it whichever direction they want. It doesn't matter how much you want it to go down. Doesn't matter how much you want it to go up. I don't play heavily manipulated stocks. I don't play heavily manipulated cryptos. So that's the alpha I would throw out there, right? And that's kind of the caveat to your conversation, is that because I think it's heavily manipulated, I'm not willing to play the game. And if I think it's less heavily manipulated, like something like Bitcoin, right, where I think like, you know, you got people like Michael Saylor may own like 1%. It's just too difficult to manipulate something like that. Does that make sense?
Okay. So let's remove you personally from the equation. All right. Because you don't want to play it because it's highly manipulated. Other people probably don't mind playing things that are highly manipulated because they view it as a feature and not a bug. It's crypto, right?
100%.
Typically, the ones that are highly manipulated are the ones that pump the hardest. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't like to do that, but others don't have a problem with it. Who's going to bid this thing here? Even if there's negative funding, even if we're at monthly support, who's going to bid this thing?
It's not about individuals bidding it. Again,
the only reason the market's bouncing today is because BNB's bouncing a little bit today. That's literally the only reason. So when the overall market conditions are so tethered, no pun intended, to BNB, and nobody wants to bid it at high time frame support, and what we're seeing right now is basically just a short squeeze, I think, or like a short covering rally. That's not true demand. Like people aren't coming in here to like scoop up BNB at
Max.
You know,
go back to the last wick on the high time frame, and then break it down.
What that?
The last wick.
Go back. Yep. Go back and break that down.
This whole area?
Nope. When you got below.
This.
Who wanted to bid there?
I mean, okay. When
I
was
think that was the
that was the
context
June low.
That's different. I mean, look, that was Tucker. Zoom out a little bit. That was like the first real breach of that bull market low, which can make for a really nice like deviation and reclaim. We've now retested it 3 times, and the difference I'm seeing here is that we've actually we've dipped our toe under that 220 line, and we're just sitting there. Okay, there it's different, right? Like that was a deviation of from a capitulation. I'm not viewing this as a similar structure where like it's a quick deviation and we're about to like reclaim and run it back to 350.
What's Binance's?
To hold support.
You know what it's similar to, man? You know what it's similar to is these versus this, in my opinion. Yeah. It's this versus the waterfall.
What's CZ's net worth?
Will, hang on. I need to understand this, man. I want to know if you're playing devil's advocate or if you're actually like serious about this, because I mean, if you're serious about this bouncing here, then even if it's highly manipulated, like you got to put your money where your mouth is. Otherwise, we're just like, what are we talking about here? You know, like if you're that adamant that we're about to see like a mega bounce in BNB at high time frame support, you have to do something.
No. That's not at all what I'm saying. What? Okay, so let me be clear here. I think everybody's shorts here, right? And price continues to crab walk. I don't think it's a blast off. I think it crab walks until liquidity comes back into the market. And keep in mind, a rising tide lifts all ships, which means when liquidity comes back into the market, it just goes right back up with the market. And that's just the reality of it. This is what I'm seeing is manipulation of price, manipulation of support here in this zone, to where they continue to float this thing as long as they can to just keep it afloat while the market dumps. Right? Like if you look, put BNB BTC. Go ahead, put that pair together.
Hang on, let me do a little massaging.
No, we're not doing massaging this morning.
We have a professional masseuse on the team, man. You got to let the man massage.
Yeah.
Look, man, we don't need any meat tenderizers. Okay, let's do BNB BTC.
Yeah, massage that big tuck. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like real under skill said if you hit a window 3, 4, or 5 times, eventually it will break. Yeah, I mean
that's my CFO right there, man.
Sure.
Massage
I mean,
tuck.
Look,
I'll figure it out, Will.
I agree with that, Real.
Look at that.
You agree?
No, I don't agree with yours. Yours is way off.
155, man. That's not asking.
If you
Will,
were to
I want you to go buy some
right
BNB, even if it's $100.
No.
Go buy some BNB. If
Just
you actually
spot.
think it's going to
Just
bounce here,
Nope.
then go buy BNB.
I'll buy
I don't think
$5
that
worth,
anybody
that's
will bid it.
I'm
Nobody's
not
going to
putting
bid it.
any substantial amount of money in this thing at all.
Okay, this is that next phase of the market I was talking about. We got the capitulation across the board. The next drop down is going to be less of a major perps cascade and much more of a simple lack of spot interest across the board.
I'm buying things. What do you mean?
Oh,
I am buying things. I'm just not buying BNB.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about what's going to drive this market down lower than where it's at right now. We already saw the perps cascade. Okay, we saw $1 billion in liquidations in like an hour. All right. This next wick, it's going to be more of like a capitulatory bleed from lack of actual demand rather than people over leveraged at the highs. Okay. And that's what we're starting to see with what Tucker's alluded to being called the limp wiener pattern. Okay. Where it just like flops down and you can't get above the previous highs.
What are we at in price right now?
Max,
216.
step in and defend it. I'm the demand.
Tommy's
So
Tommy, maybe when you graduate to whale status, you're still just a porpoise. Man.
That top looks nasty on BTC. Tucker, do a BNB BTC, sir.
And guys, before we continue, we will all fall silent until we hit 30 likes. We have 40 people watching. We got 24 likes. We got to hit our TP of 30 likes. If you are enjoying the stream, please consider liking the video real quick. It does wonders for the channel. You guys always deliver. We got to hit 30 likes. And I know you guys can do it. We got 43 people watching now. We always hit 30 likes. So thank you guys so much again for supporting us and choosing to spend your morning with us here on Market Check, brought to you by Because Bitcoin. We need 2 more likes. We're at 28. Who's going to bring us home? We got to run the range high. We got to run it right now. And maybe we'll even get a breakout. All right, 29 likes. We need 1 more. 1 more. 1 more. Let's run the range high. 30 likes. Come on. Who's going to bring it home for us? Who's going to do it? I will stall as long as I have to. We need 30 likes. 1 more like. Come on, baby. Someone cue the Jeopardy theme song. Someone. Okay, there we go. The stream continues. We got 30 likes. Thank you guys so much.
All right, look. We already know that you think the world's going to end tomorrow, Tucker. All right, now pull up BNB.
No. This isn't that bearish.
Right.
This is if we don't nuke to 21K. Like this would be like September bear chop, in my opinion. Right.
But let's do a strength test. Though BNB BTC.
Okay, so unfortunately my keyboard has quit working, so I can't do that. So I'm gonna pass
conveniently.
No, I swear to God, Will.
Conveniently.
Look at this. You hear that?
Sounds like somebody unplugged their keyboard.
I need to get I need to go get one after this stream. So I'm gonna shoot it over to Max's chart. He's got some interesting things drawn up.
You think my things are interesting, Tucker?
Yeah, I do, man.
Dude, thank you. Wow. That's flattering. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was just kind of messing around with this, but I'm happy to dive in a little bit.
BNB BTC.
Yeah, let's look at BNB BTC. It's probably a very important chart.
All right.
They must not think your drawings are interesting, Max.
That's fine.
No, he's gonna make some new ones for us.
Everybody.
Wow.
Can't please everybody. It's fine. All right. It's looking very good, Will, isn't it?
I mean, that's a higher low than I ever saw one.
Gosh, Will, you could just say it looks bearish, man. That's all. You could just say it looks bearish because it does.
Look, you even got your red candle right there, your puke, your capitulation event.
What if, Will?
Oh, it looks like it wants to come home.
What if Santa was real?
I mean, I think we've already retraced when you overlaid the pump with like a fib, we've already retraced like I think over 50, 60, 70% of the pump. I don't think it makes sense to form like structure here. I think it makes sense to keep going lower is what I'm saying, Will.
I mean, we could think that, but here's the thing. Look, I agree that you've retraced most of the structure, but I think it just plays out differently. I think just being, like I said, being B crab walks and BTC goes. That's really the reality of the difference.
Wait. Okay.
BTC bleeds to that line, right? That's just BTC coming down, and a little more, and Binance holding.
We should do this. Flips. We should do this, and we should let Will lead the charge. Yeah.
Let's talk about a bullish scenario.
What's the bullish scenario? Not just for BNB or whatever, but for Bitcoin from here. What's the bull case?
Crab walk sideways, hold range for a couple months, invalidate through time, and then once you invalidate through time, then price goes up.
How long? A couple months?
Couple months.
Bullish scenario here, given the move we had last week.
Yeah, the crab walk is the most bullish scenario right now.
23.
I think that's a fair approach. I think that's a fair approach. I don't think that's unfair at all. Tommy, do you think that's unfair?
No, I agree. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I think if we don't see the downside this week, I think we're just going to go sideways for like probably another 5 or 6 weeks, man.
Yeah, I think a couple months tops, you run sideways, this thing's ripping. Now, I think the bear case is, I think in the more short term, I think bears have the leverage here, right? Maybe another week or two. If the bears can get movement in the next week or two, I think that there is potential for downside, right? But I think you're limited on time as a bear, whereas like you have more time as a bull.
I think you have till the end of the month as a bear because that's the window of weakness for equities. I was listening to Chem Carson talk about it on TDA live last week. He was saying that we are in a period of weakness until like one of the first few days of September, whichever day is a Monday, I think. But that's when we have Vanna Charm flows start to come back into the market.
It's been a while since I've heard Vanna Charm, man.
No. Well, this is the window right here. If bears are going to make up ground, this is where it's going to be.
I will say this too, and this is something keep in mind, Max. Like this isn't something that I haven't been talking about. Also, I've been talking about since the beginning of the year, tax loss harvesting towards the end, right? And I think this is that time. I usually look at October, November, December, usually, or not November, December. I think November, December, and October is usually that reversal time. But going into September is usually that area, right? So I look at September as like the month, and if you can't capitulate in September, you're done. I think the market flips back up from there because you're looking at potentially even if it's a fake out, because this is exactly what happened in 2022. Keep in mind, right? At the end of 2021, the market ran hard, and it ran hard into the beginning of 2022, and a lot of people thought the market was going to continue up. It was a fake out move, right? So even if the market's going to be bearish, it's still at the same time going to run at the end of the year, in my opinion, and then we'll figure out whether that's a fake move or a real move.
Right? Yeah, once we get past September, like I'm happy to talk about it, Will. Like that's no problem, man. But
And that's what I'm
Um,
stating. I'm not saying be a full-on bull here. I think there is headwinds, but I am saying like once you get to that point, where's your bear case? Not you, but like where is the bear case, right?
This was a good question. What do you guys think dominance does if we, assuming the bull case, aka crab walk? I mean, I'd say it probably goes higher if I had to.
Yeah,
guess.
I would think alts will bleed against Bitcoin if that happens.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I have no doubt in that. As much as I want to be a fool, I'm like, hey, we're gonna go to the. We're not gonna do that. I don't think right now. I think it's
I don't think there's really a scenario where dominance drops in the short term. Honestly.
Yeah.
We could see a small window. I want to throw this out there too, because we did see this in 2021 going into 2022, and we did see this in 2022. A small window of some kind of upside for alts in a big way. And then that's your last capitulation event before the market just tanks, right? So if Bitcoin trades sideways and alts start to run, I would take that as a red flag, right?
That's
and I would take that as a problem.
December 4th, I remember that, Will. We had that huge wipe December 4th, 2021, and then carving out the range after that. I think that was about a 6-week range. We had a few alts that outperformed really, really well.
Yeah, remember Bonk when everything was getting wrecked? That was a good play.
Man, oh man, Bonk. I had a friend in my Discord who called Bonk out like stupid early, but everybody was memeing about how he was on Solana, so everybody missed it.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, you could argue that we had that already with altcoins, right? Like, I'm just looking at OP, like it doubled from June 10th to August 8th. You know what I mean? Like,
no. What I'm talking about is like a small window, right? So you're getting like a week or two of just some kind of ridiculous pump out of alts, and then you get this massive crash capitulation.
I mean, that was a 2x in like 3 weeks. So that's, I mean,
yeah, but that was previously. I'm talking about in this window of tax loss harvesting. That's usually where you get a little bit of some kind of move on something, right? You get a couple things that move, everybody jumps back on board, nothing else moves, and then everything capitulates.
yeah. Max, what are we doing here? We doing FTT? I see it.
I'm not doing anything, man. I'm just
a little massaging.
I've seen this, I've heard it, but all it is lower low or lower highs, right? Your structure is breaking down.
Be careful being the exchange defender. I'm telling you.
Look, I am not
recorded. Look, Will,
I'm not pro any exchange. I'm just saying, like, the guy has been in crypto since 2017. Like, what do we realistic? Do you think he didn't make any money? I'm just saying, like, I'm again not, man. I feel like I am kind of carding for them, but look, I don't know. I'll just leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. Look, I don't think it's gonna collapse. Okay, I don't think it's gonna collapse. That's all I'm saying. If it collapses, I'll be wrong. I'll throw that out there right now. I'll be 100% wrong, and I'm.
Well, that's a big thing to be wrong about, though, man. That's.
But it's not the same. Look, FTX was way more of a red flag with Alameda. That's all I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
because you had the exchange and the sleight of hands. It was very obvious that was going to be a collapse.
But there's a lot more unknown with Binance, and that's the issue, man.
But there's not a second entity.
If Binance,
they're probably just keeping it all in house, man. And a lot of these exchanges are basically just Binance shell companies, anyway.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
If these rumors about Binance, money laundering, for Russia and China and other sanctioned regions is actually true, like, they're literally going to zero, man.
They're gonna bring the hammer down.
Like they're actually going to, like, if that's actually true, and I don't know if it is, but if that's true, like, this will go to zero. And I don't know if it's true or not. Like, I don't know, but I know there's rumors.
I mean, sure, we can go with that. So I guess the real question is, does anybody question whether or not Binance has actual assets, or do they only hold BNB?
My opinion is that they are either. I don't think they're fully solvent, personally.
I mean, no exchange is, in my opinion.
Fully, yeah. It's basically impossible to run an exchange and do that. which raises a different conversation. But I also don't think they're fully insolvent. Now, what has happened over the last few days as far as all these assets selling off, that does make me worry a little bit more. I will say that. Why are they selling these assets and where did they get them? Are these just like Binance's allocations of these altcoins? And if that is the case, why aren't they being repriced to zero anyway? There are I have a lot of questions about, the implications of, how they're defending BNB and to a lesser extent Bitcoin. But
I'll tell you, I would love to see exactly what's going on. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have no clue. Because you can't see inside of these CEXs are like black boxes. You have no idea what they have going inside, right? And I'm throwing that out there for everybody. Like, even though it sounds like I'm being bullish on BNB, it's a black box. Nobody knows. You don't know. I don't know. I don't care if you can read on-chain metrics or not. Nobody knows.
Yep.
Once it goes in the box, you can't see inside the box. Once it moves into the exchange, nobody knows what's going on their end. It's a closed loop. And that's the part that I think, like, a lot of people, they like to speculate, but nobody knows. And this is why the government's going after them, because the government doesn't know, right? They can't see inside the box. It's reflective for them when they go to look.
Or they're going after them because they've seen inside the box.
They've seen where money has come from to go inside the box, right?
Well,
that's what I think.
That defendor mentality, I'm telling you, man.
No, that has nothing to do. No, that has nothing to do with defense.
You're trying to defend Binance against potential money laundering accusations.
No, that's not at all what I'm doing. What I'm saying is the money coming in and the money coming out, that can be seen. So if they see it go into certain wallets that may be flagged as, potential money laundering wallets.
For
right?
sure. But what if they've gotten a peek behind the curtain from some insiders? You know what I'm saying? Like
that could be the case.
Yeah.
That could be the case. But I think again that goes
SBF and then the bank that went under, right? SIVB and SI, Silvergate, and then I don't remember the other one. What if those insiders, in order to get a bailout, had to give a bit of a peek into behind the curtain of how CZ is running his operation?
Here's the thing,
like. Sam.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't think, and I would think you guys would agree with this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't think anybody at Binance would show FTX anything. I think if anything, they were playing FTX the whole time.
I don't think they had to, but if they're running the same operation, then that's a problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, but in a sense, what I think that Sam tried to copy Binance.
Yeah.
Right. But he went about and he went about it in a way that where he had a second shell company that was very obvious, right? It wasn't hidden. It was very obvious. Because I agree with you, Tommy. I think some of these other exchanges, wink, wink, are directly related to Binance. I can give you a name. I mean, Gate.io, wink, wink. But and a couple other ones, I think those are directly related to Binance. And I've seen this because you see exchange wallet money moving between some of these exchanges to float liquidity, right? And between Binance and the exchange. So it's like, why is Binance giving them money unless it's to give them loans to float them liquidity wise?
Yeah.
And you saw it at the lows. So yeah, I definitely think there's at minimum collusion, if not, secondary shell companies. But at the same time, if he can afford to do shell companies, then there is liquidity there, I would say.
What would you say if he got hit with a fine big enough to impact?
If he got hit with a $5 billion, $10 million fine, I think he's cooked. Right? I think if he gets $5 billion, $10 billion, I don't know of a fine that big. Right? That's really the questionable scenario. Now, if he gets hit with a fine under $1 billion, I think he can float that. I think even if he's not liquid, he can go get a loan or something like that, right? I think he could float that.
Well, here's where you and I have common ground. I think that CZ is probably one of the wealthiest men in the world.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's exactly my argument.
I think that's your big line of defense.
Yeah.
Is that he has so much money that probably like we'd all be surprised to actually know like the real figure. And I also think he's very well connected. Now the question remains to me, and I think this is more important because he could have $25 billion. For all we know. But truthfully, that's not going to be enough alone. He needs the support he needs Asia's support behind him. If Asia bails on Binance, then it's a sentiment thing. Then he could have $25 billion, but it's not going to be enough.
He
needs
doesn't have the sovereign support at all.
If the People's Republic of China bails on him, then it's over. Okay, then
No,
it's
I agree. If Asia pulls out, it's done. I agree.
No,
I'm not gonna argue
it's done then because there's no sovereign support for Binance. I promise you.
But there's also none of them saying we're not going to use Binance. We're not going to allow that Binance, right? As long as he's allowed to operate, that's the issue, right? If you can't shut down his operations, it doesn't matter about support.
Well, no, but like
money
in
will
the
flow
event that the DOJ brings charges and he gets hit with like 10 bill, it's like, yeah, he's probably cooked, but like if he were to have sovereign backing from someone, he would probably be okay. But that's not the case.
I think he could get support in Dubai, definitely. I definitely think he can get support in Dubai. He does a lot of business out there. And
Yeah,
that's the money pit right there.
No, I know. I just mean like Asia, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Asia may not give him money, but you know, as long as he can operate and he could show that he can operate in these different countries, he could definitely get money in Dubai. I have no doubt about that.
Hang on, I have an Asian quant who was telling me about this. Hang on, let me find it.
The biggest thing that would kill exchanges, and this is something I thought about for a while, is just shutting down their operations in most countries, right? If you shut down the operations in the major Asian countries, you shut down operations in the US, you shut down operations throughout the world, and now they can only operate in smaller third world countries, they're going to lose liquidity and die, right? That's the way to do it. And this is something the US does with sanctions, right? When the government goes out there, now if the US went out there and be like, all right, we're going to sanction Binance, yeah, I could say, okay, that's potential for headwind risk for sure, right? Like if they're like, anybody who operates with Binance is against the US, then yeah, they're screwed. They're done. They're cooked. But like, unless it comes to something like that, like I can't see the bear case.
Yeah. So
Will, here's what I want to say, man. You've had this background on for quite some time.
There's about to be a new face on it, brother.
All I'm saying, man.
Look, when CZ goes up,
millionaires and industry titans and pioneers, all ones praised, have fallen before.
No, I agree. Look, I'm not saying it's that he's impenetrable. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like this is the same song and dance in 2022. Same one. And I don't think it's going to end well for Bears.
What do you think about my chart, Will?
What about it?
I don't know. What do you think about it?
He's unfazed.
I don't know. Did you smoke some weed earlier, or what happened?
I had too much coffee. I'm a bit jittery, man. I'm drawing crazy things now. Tucker, what do you think about it?
I like that. I had that first black line, or the long one in the middle. I had that long black line drawn too.
It's a good line. Yeah.
It's a good line. It's a good
Look,
line. I think maybe we stab into the gap, though. You know what I mean? I think maybe we stab in there.
Tommy, what do you think about that?
I think when we were talking a few weeks ago, and I said if Binance has a quote unquote event, that would be an event.
An event.
If Binance collapsed and came down a trend, I could see that. 100%.
I'm just letting you guys know right now that if this fractal plays out, we're going to take a couple weeks off and just go on a team trip.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay with that.
Oh, so I need to hope for it then?
This might be the last stream until probably middle of September.
We'll punish Will by buying him a steak dinner.
Instead of letting me make it.
I'm going to buy Will all the BNB he wants at $1 per BNB. Since he's such a believer.
Look, no. I want to be very clear. I think all exchange tokens are bullshit. I think they're all air.
Besides one. There's
one. Besides one.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Besides one. But I do think a lot of them are air, right? They're vaporware. But you can attach value to them, right? You can't attach value to them. That value is trading fees, staking. Like there's a lot of things you can attach them to create value. But outside of them operating for those items, like I just think there's good tech, right? There's good tech. I won't go too deep into this conversation, but you get what I'm saying.
So on the topic of directionality, guys, I did want to spend a little bit of the time of today's show talking about equities and specifically Jackson Hole, because we really haven't mentioned it too much today. And last year obviously created quite a bit of volatility on that date. So I wanted to know how you guys are viewing the S&P, how you're viewing the NASDAQ. Obviously, I think we had NVIDIA that had earnings this week as well. So would love to get y'all's thoughts and kind of your interpretation of how you're viewing those events. Because it'll probably have a lot to do with crypto directionality as well. I mean, that goes without saying.
Are you talking about Jackson Hole?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It ultimately does. It will affect liquidity, I'm sure. And if equities do anything substantial, then crypto will respond in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, I think the window of weakness in equities is always the end of the month when the flow stops. So, but yeah, we have Jackson Hole on Friday. I mean, obviously, we talked about this in our Discord earlier, but I don't think we're gonna get a "there will be pain" speech this time. I think generally he'll be hawkish, just given the slight reacceleration in inflationary data we got a couple weeks ago. But I really hope it's not a nothing burger, right? I really hope it gives us some more directionality, because equities right now are not super tradable. As Tommy likes to say, it would be diddling in the middle right here. Like it just looks not fun to trade right now. Like you'd be taking a pretty big risk. So I don't know. I mean, you combine the window of weakness with what's going on in crypto, with what net liquidity is doing, with what yields are looking to do right now, and you have the culmination kind of on Friday with Jackson Hole. So I mean, I would expect it generally to be bearish, but I don't think we'll get a massive overreaction or anything crazy come out of his mouth, if I had to guess. So we should get some directionality, but I don't think it'll be like last year.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Jackson Hole, I mean, does anybody care what the Fed says? Any of you guys care?
Yes.
No, I don't care anymore. I
care.
mean, unless it's like, unless it's just insane. But
I mean, if he comes in and says, "Hey, I'm going to nuke all of you to the floor," sure, I would care. But like,
pretty upsetting.
Outside of that, like, pretty numb to what he said. Like, the market to me, the market doesn't care anymore. But I do kind of agree with you, Tucker, on one point, and I think it's no directionality can be a little fearful in a drop, and it can cause a continuation of more drop, right? So I think that is something that should kind of be kept in the back of your head, even if you're a bull. But I think directionality only helps, right? Even if directionality is bearish, right? If he's like, you know what, we're going to continue to apply pressure, I think the market would bid that. If he's like, you know what, we're going to ease pressure, I think the market would probably, because it's still giving directionality, right? Uncertainty is the market's worst enemy.
You think if he said he would continue to apply pressure, that the market would?
The markets, had they not been doing that, look at rate hikes. That's applying pressure.
No, I know the rate hikes themselves, the market does not really care about anymore. But
and that's what I mean.
Much more about his rhetoric. Like last year, he said there will be pain, and we literally nuked. Like I think if he used the words apply pressure, I think we'd probably go down in the short term, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you could see a volatility move, right? I think that's definitely a possibility. I just think it'll be the false move, and the market will bid it back up again. It's kind of dumb because the market is doing the inverse of what it should be doing to actual moves. But you got to kind of follow the market versus how you feel about the move. And I think too, like the other thing is too, Max, and this is something I want to bring up also. like, look, I'm in agreement. I honestly think we'll revisit lows, right, with SPY and stuff like that. But I just think it's more further out than a lot of people are thinking, right? I think just people are looking at this window versus the bigger window that's currently occurring. I think we get through a full bull run on crypto. I'm not saying, hey, we're in a raging bull market. Everything's only going to go up forever, yada yada. I'm stating that I think we're going to go through a bull market in crypto. I think we're going to revisit all-time highs on stocks and SPY and everything. And I think from there it's going to fucking nuke. I'm just going to be real. Like, I'm just throwing it out there. Like, that's where I draw the line, right? That's where I'm going to be really paying attention to market direction and be very defensive if we reach all-time highs again on SPY and stuff. I think that's the most defensive area.
I'd like to paint a scenario for you guys. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen yet. I have started a position for it, but I'd like to construct the Mona Lisa of equity to bond charts. The one that will be hung in museums for decades to come. People will marvel at the market check clip and say, wow, with a giant ogre behind him, he literally painted perfection. Join me on this journey, gentlemen.
Are we going to make this an NFT?
We might. All right.
Of NFTs, I just wanted to mention that Azukis are at like 2 ETH floor now. I think they broke below it.
Oh, I'm loving it, man.
There's like NFTs.
I'm loving it. Dude, they're getting this. Like, look, I think that everybody's gonna jump off the bandwagon, and if you look at Blur, you got some whales just pushing floors through floors on purpose. Right.
Boy, it's still got like 7 times the FDV of the market cap, man. It's gonna go to 0.
No, but I'm just saying, like, look at the operations on Blur, like the Blur farming that's currently occurring, right? Like, these whales are literally crushing these NFT markets.
Well, they're also
Why would you want to own any NFTs right now? I do not understand it right now. Like,
if you own it, it better be for like a long haul. I'll tell you that. Like, it better be for a long haul. I think you can get out of your positions in the bull run for sure in profit, but like that's just due to the froth. But yeah, I wouldn't. If I was holding right here, I would just be getting a tighter grip because it's gonna get more rough.
Max, I want you to cook, man. Look at this. Wow.
You want me to cook?
Yeah, man.
All right, hang on.
Nah.
When they all diverge, it's over. Oh, here we go.
I'll put this in the upper corner.
All right, guys, my favorite TV show just came on. I gotta go. Not this.
Yeah, it's called Top Chef with Max from Because Bitcoin. I'm about to
Iron Chef.
Max Ramsey.
Yeah, that's right. All right, gentlemen, join me on the charts. I'm just going to paint a scenario for you, okay? There's been a lot of talk about equities making a new all-time high. It'd be such a shame if we got that close and just didn't quite get there. Now, let me walk you through something that happened in 2007. All right. As soon as we saw long-duration treasury bonds pull off the elusive double bottom, is the point in time we saw the 10-year minus the 2-year yield begin to uninvert itself and begin its move north, right? So are we seeing that here? It's possible. Now, let's fast forward here. TLT just hit the double bottom. 10-year minus the 2-year yields beginning to show signs, or the beginning signs of a potential uninversion. And at the very same time, let's take a trek over here now. This was more or less a double top, double bottom. So you can see the equity markets topped when TLT double bottomed and we began to see the uninversion happen. Now, maybe we just didn't quite get there, right? Because we're seeing the yield curve begin to uninvert. We're beginning to see the yield curve uninvert while TLT's double bottoming and equities are pulling back. So again, if the signs are there like they were, and the same thing happens basically pre-election year, we could basically be facing the same thing again, where the equity markets top as long duration treasury bonds double bottom and yields basically peak. Maybe we don't quite get the double top. And there's been all this talk about like, oh, well, it's a pre-election year. They're going to prop the market up. Well, so was 2007, right?
Well,
Barack
hold on.
Obama was elected in November of 2008. He was inaugurated in January of 2009. And look at where we bottomed. Look at where we bottomed right here in 2000, in the basically Q1 of 09. As soon as Obama took office, we basically put in like a secular bottom before a bull market. So what if the same thing is playing out right here when we get a new president? So we do something like this, right? Yield curve begins to uninvert. They begin to cut interest rates, basically to just try to save the market heading into the election. Equities have peaked already, and we bleed all the way basically through, like the first half of 2024. And then we bottom sometime before we get a new president, like November, October, November of next year. So it's just a scenario. It's just a scenario.
Yeah, I mean,
12K.
I wanna throw this out there. I think the uninversion is your 4100, right? And then I think we get up to the top, and we've talked about this, right? You get up to the top, and about 1-2 years out after that, you then get your real crash, and that's where basically everything kind of tumbles over. I would also say
you have to acknowledge the importance of the double bottom and TLT lining up perfectly with the top in the equity markets in 2007.
Yeah, but we discussed TLT, and we were thinking this time, because not everything always plays the same way. And I remember this, Max, because you and me had this conversation. All right, we both were in agreement that this will probably deviate lower on TLT.
Well, I put up a giant bid wall at 560 on TMF, and I got filled.
I'm just saying, look, I think we're going to get a deviation on TLT. I really do. It might be slow, methodical, and I do think that deviation pulls back out fairly quickly and runs back up really fast.
Here's what Will and I talked about, guys. I'll draw it out for you. This is what Will and I were entertaining.
Quick, the 10 and 2 might need to round out a little more.
Yes, that too.
Also, I would look at the 10 and 3 month.
Yeah, 10 and 3 is good. That one looks really good too. I do like the 10-3.
Will and I were basically talking about something like this happening.
Yes.
So if that happened here, we did this, and then we
as
drop.
Soon as you deviate, you're in. That's a go.
Then it would maybe look something like this, and then.
Yeah, but the timing with the other two charts doesn't make any sense.
No,
it doesn't. I mean, it could if you were to take that top you have right there and play it from the high, you still have room, right? If you were to play it from the 10 and the 2, if you were to take the angle from the high end range versus where you're at right now, you still have room to come up and hit that.
Max, try the 10-year 3 month. See what that looks like. You can just replace the top chart if you want. Yeah. Okay.
That's a massive drop below.
We're cooking. Yeah, no, it's not about the level. I'd say it's more about the angle of the bottom.
Of the trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, if you look at it, it almost looks similar to that 2008 where it bounced up and then rolled back over and went a little bit deeper, right?
I mean, it looks most similar to 2020, the bottom, honestly. Okay.
Which one? 2020?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think where Max has that blue line, if you were to come back to that bounce where it bounced back up and then roll back down just a little bit deeper, I think that's what we do. I don't think we V-shape out of this.
No, definitely not.
Are we sure that TLT bottoms here, like right here?
No, I think we deviate, bro. 100%. Everything this year has been all about deviations. If you paid it, not you, but if people paid attention to chart patterns, it's just been deviation after deviation. This is how they've been tricking people. Every cycle's one way or another, right? It's either a double bottom, triple bottom, deviations, but I've just seen deviations across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Close,
think TLT has to bottom here by any means.
For the audience too, like if TLT does deviate, what that means is that prices continue to run. But if TLT does double bottom here, that means prices are more than likely just going to get wrecked. So that's kind of why we're looking at this specifically. For those of you who may or may not know why we are looking at this, and the 10 and the 2 and the 10 and the 3 are great outliers to look at the market overall from a higher time frame to tell us, okay, how is the bond market feeling about things? Are they interested in current prices? And the 10 and the 2, honestly, like here's the biggest thing, Max, and this is what I think that a lot of people forget about is that the curve or the inversion never uninverts before your first cuts, right? If you are anticipating an uninversion, you're anticipating cuts, and I don't think the market's anticipating cuts.
Market's not
Let's put it like
anticipating
that.
cuts until June of 2024.
So then
as
that
of
would
last-
mean that we'd remain inverted until those cuts are coming up on, right? And I the markets, I mean,
So
they've been wrong, but they've been
I
right.
know what the market's expecting, but the market, I mean, look, this market's been wrong quite a bit this year. So I think it's useful to gauge, but I mean, I'm more interested in what the technicals are telling me. And this is just a scenario, right? Like, well, we could definitely see TLT put in a mega deviation out of 85. No question about it. I'm just pointing out that it's similar timing where equities almost made, a new all-time high like they did right back here 2007. And that all-time high, or like that double top that we had in 2007, lined up perfectly with TLT double bottoming. Perfectly. And the very beginning signs of the yield curve beginning to uninvert in a pre-election year again. So it's just like it's all aligning very similarly, and it won't play out exactly the same, but it's similar.
If you're anticipating this, I would almost say you're anticipating the having to do nothing and there'd be no bull market next year. And that may be the case. That may be the case, right? Like, but I'm just saying, like that's what you're anticipating.
Well, no, because we don't begin up only until about 6 months after the halving, which would line up with this, and that timeline extends every cycle.
I don't know. I don't know if it lines up because I think that if we start running up on yields, or not running up, but yields start dropping and we start to see the uninversion, I think that could stay there for a year or two. That could literally be a full cycle.
I'm saying under the pretense if Max's cooking is correct, right? Then we would bottom, November 24, whatever. That would be 6, 8, 9 months after the halving, right? So that would line up pretty perfectly. And in 2015, we dumped after the halving, so that's not off the table.
What if they cut, Will? What if they cut?
That's the problem. Is we're not gonna.
If they cut, markets are fucked.
With the market pricing in hikes or whatever, like it's not gonna matter because they're gonna break something.
I don't think cuts are bullish at all. I just don't. Like, I think anybody bidding cuts is like you're just on the wrong side of that trade. They're cutting because there's systemic issues, not because everything's okay.
Yes. That's the problem, though. We're not going to be able to predict when they cut. They're just going to break something and start cutting. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you'll be able to see the break, and the second they start cutting, you'll get crushed under that initial drop, but that drop's only going to get worse.
Yeah,
that's the problem. A lot of people won't be willing to accept that, and they'll just continue to bid the drop into the drop into the drop into the drop because that's what's going to happen once cuts start occurring.
Gotta have somebody do it.
So like I have my bear thesis. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not dumb. I won't get played in these markets, but I know that a lot of other people they're like, oh, this time's different, super cycle, and then they'll get sucked right into that shit and get pulled all the way down.
I think we might sweep these highs on Bitcoin, boys.
But again, I'm still anticipating the bull run.
Calling for a huge 150-point move higher.
Ooh. Wow, dude. Permabull Tucker. Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm. A monstrous move.
I just said who.
Well, it'd be pretty in line with my fractal if you look at this move right here.
Perfectly in line with your fractal, Max. Wow.
Dare one dare one say?
Wow.
I don't know. Like I don't feel like there's enough volatility. Look, I'm going to show you an
Oh.
example of this exact zone.
That's the
This
big
exact
move
zone.
there.
Go scroll out a little bit, Max. Go back to our 2022 drops.
Oh, don't worry. I'm calling for 100K Bitcoin. Look at.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying, go back to our 2022 drops. I'm gonna show you that exact move.
All right, Will.
Right there. Just bigger time
Here?
frame, right there. If that happened, that's what we would see, right? And that's what you're calling for. But if you look in there, that literal sideways turned into massive volatility, right? If we got a
You're talking about if we dropped, it would be something like, I mean, you're literally talking like
it's the
like
same move.
this.
It's literally the same move.
You're talking about this.
But no. So a smaller scale though. But I think what
you got
what Tucker.
Wait. You said I can't massage though, Will. You've
What happened to that?
Listen.
All right,
I'm going to what Tucker's saying, right? So if you're right, Max, Tucker's right. See that rip up as it just trends sideways? Like you could draw a line across those tops until that first rip up.
No. Make it way smaller, Max. Make it like a lot.
Dude, but this fractal is just too perfect, man. I don't even see why we're not just like accepting this as concrete. Like this is programmed.
I'm just saying, like you're calling for an exact same move.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't think that happens. I'm just saying. I gotta go, guys. But
you would be correct because it's not going to happen. But the spirit of the move, the essence of it, the powerful nature of the move will rhyme so closely that people will believe the correlation is 1-to-1, but it won't be.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you got for me? Okay. Will,
I don't subscribe, man. I just don't subscribe.
You don't subscribe to the DB channel? Speaking
I
of
do.
subscribing,
I don't.
Guys, if you've enjoyed the stream, please consider subscribing and liking the video. You don't subscribe, Will?
I don't see it just flushing like that, man. I just don't.
Well, I'll get that fractal for you, man.
Here's the thing. Look, the ask has already been lowered. You're saying they're going to lower the ask again directly after lowering it.
I know what you're doing.
I don't think that happens. Because you got the ask was lowered, and the bid was accepted. That's why we're here.
I know what you're doing. Well, hang on. I got you, brother. Don't go anywhere yet. Don't go anywhere. You can't leave yet, Will. You're calling for something like that-ish. I mean, see, here's the deal. Yeah, that's like the same thing. It's going to hit my bullseye on the money here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Look at that. That's your fractal right there. I mean, you can get a move.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
26.7, run the highs, and then
if you reject that at 26.5, you're cooked. You're cooked. You're gonna roll over.
I don't even think we're gonna get a bounce, man.
Tommy.
It's like,
all right, man.
I'm serious. You can see
Tommy,
in the price action. If you get a bounce above highs, you're gonna squeeze. It's just
change your image, bro. All right, change it from Snorlax to a bear. All right,
Snorlax is a bear Pokemon.
Bearlax.
Bearlax. There you go.
But no, I mean, I just think the price action looks heavy, man. I mean, it's we've seen it before, right? The low volatility, can't break any highs. If you break highs, you're gonna squeeze a lot of people, but until you do, it's like you're just longing a bleed.
All right, I'm gonna say one sentence. All right. Ask was lowered, bid was accepted. I don't think the ask gets lowered again.
Fiona was a princess, and then she became an ogre. Okay.
Oh man,
I gotta run, guys. I gotta run.
All right.
What's up?
See you, Will.
We can go ahead and wrap things up if y'all are ready.
I'm ready, dude. I'm ready. And my mouse just died, so Tucker's gonna have to do it.
Look,
All right.
I gotta remember to charge my mouse, man. I'm gonna put a sticky note next to my monitor before I leave today. Charge mouse overnight. Tucker, get that. Remember, no bounces, man. Get rid of that.
You guys have until the end of the week to keep me on your side for the bear case. If we're still ranging, then I'm going to be joining Dr. Outlook.
Me
But
too. I'm not gonna die on the hill. I'm not perma bear. I'm just pretty confident we're gonna roll over here. But it's like I agree with you. It's more of a time based invalidation than price because I don't think we're gonna get a meaningful squeeze. Maybe beyond like 26.3. Like even if we got that, I think it'd get stuffed. But really, it's like it has to break down. I mean, I'd maybe give it till Saturday. Maybe.
yeah, if it hasn't moved by Saturday, I'm probably out of the bear trade for at least until the end of September at that point. But I want to get this Binance overhang out of the way, Max, whatever that means.
But the one thing I will say about the time-based invalidation is that it's a time-based invalidation, but if we're starting to see meaningful progress through Friday and Saturday, like if Bitcoin is just chopping, limp wiener pattern down at like 25.3, and it just hasn't really broken down yet, I'll keep holding that, But if we're still up here, then yeah, I'd probably close out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be nice to get like the Binance thing coming to a head for sure.
I guess we'll see. It is all about Binance right now as far as the crypto market goes. As far as I'm concerned, right? Getting them out of the way, you have an excuse for larger players to look more seriously about getting involved because the market's not as manipulated. But the downside is, the casino probably, stalls for at least a few months, right? Without that sort of trading volume, who knows what our day-to-day looks like for trading crypto. A lot of questions that I'm hoping that the next few days even could answer potentially, but if they don't, then it's going to continue on obviously into the end of September. Jackson Hole on Friday as well, guys. There are the catalysts for volatility this week. I'm going to emphasize to be careful. I think time-based invalidations as well as just tight invalidations in general are a good thing to probably be adopting in this environment. That could be pretty unpredictable. Who knows? But yeah, no, with that said, I hope we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. I know we were able to run 30 likes, so we'd love to see that. I'm glad you were able to enjoy the conversation, guys. We talked about pretty much everything today, from Binance all the way to bonds and Jackson Hole. But yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks again, guys. If you really enjoyed the content, we do have some premium content, linked in the description of this YouTube, as well as the link tree of our Twitter, if you want maybe a little bit more of an intimate look of how we're viewing the market right now. But yeah, y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow. And thanks again for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Tucker, you're going to have to close this out. My mouse is dead.
Oh, I got you.
Okay.
Hang on.
I think we're still